Today is Sunday, the 11th February, it's 1308 out of Central European Time. I got enough of my torture again for these last few days. I want to point out something for which the idiots of Fix Mundi once more are too insane, absane, just not intelligent enough to understand about themselves. Also knowing that at least a certain subset tries their darnest to work routines onto their own minds. This is not even about others' minds. I mean, that too, mind you, but really I'm addressing the issue that they're working routines on their own minds that best as possible keep them from at all analyzing the situation and thinking about the situation. So I'm spelling this out for the idiots out there. My having declared the Bible and everything about the Bible and associated with the Bible obsolete results in the following. Anything that you idiots have taken out of the Bible, so to speak, individual sentences, your interpretation thereof, whatever it is, and worked in whichever fashion, in whichever way, precisely or generally, into routines down the lines of something that you actually not just shove through people's brains constantly in a forced verbalized manner, but moreover actually try to weave into the scenario apps. The whole story told and elements thereof, if you try to shove them into people's scenario apps, my having declared the Bible obsolete to someone who doesn't have a scenario app, to someone who is sane, well, I guess to someone who is sane, the Bible had no issue in the first place, but to someone not pestered by a scenario app and by fucking idiots shoving deliberately Bible content and Bible-related stuff and stupid wordplays also based on Bible quotation and so on and so forth into their own heads. To someone like that, my declaring the Bible obsolete really works in an obsolescence way. It is now obsolete, period. But if you work this shit into your scenario apps even, and if you really think you have to be doing even more and even worse and even more extreme force verbalization of it, what you actually do is the crass opposite. Let me explain this to you. Anyone who does not work onto themselves by virtual app force, so to speak, how they are to think, what they are to think, and how they are not to think, what they are not to think. To anyone like those, it just may poof, as I put it the other day. Now, that is a bit of a case again where they will try discrediting, because it's not the classic kind of example for something poof making, because the poof making stuff usually is particular routines they work. You know, like say the homework routine that I wrote on a couple of Verlautbarungsmails back, where Mitschrift, I'm lost for the English word for that, where allegedly others bring others the Mitschrift of what happened in school today, in the meeting today, and so on and so forth. That is just a set of routines. That is just a set of virtual routines, and when I say poof, what it means really is that those routines go poof because I worked it in the zero dimensionality to such a way that anything at all tapping into these routines is present, the information is present in the zero dimensional, that these routines are just aimed for that and that, and that thus they are transparent, and that thus they do simply not work and fizzle. That is what proof making usually means. My having declared the Bible obsolete is not in this category. It is something completely different. I did say in that video the other day how the Bible made proof. I was just trying to be very precise. It was not the kind of proof making as any proof making previously. But back to the topic. You're idiots, and you idiots, you're and you idiots out there, who even more, even worse, try to work this in your brains. What you result in is the opposite of what you're trying to do. To anyone sane and to whichever degree free in his thinking, the obsolescence is just, oh, okay, it doesn't matter anymore. There's no concern anymore. You know, you basically just shrug off all of that entire dreck that is the Bible and everything associated with it, and so on and so forth. You know, you just go, okay, no any longer to be heeded, and that is that. But if you try to force into people's head that they bloody do heed it, the universe, having been brought into understanding of the Bible being obsolete, on one end, that information, that knowledge, that truth being in the zero-dimensional, and your continued working of it results in the opposite. What does that mean? Sane man that I am, I can't give you any nice random Bible quotation shit like that, but the distinction is, namely the distinction between the in crowd of Fex Mundi down the lurchy path, those IGs, and all the other various types of Fex Mundi IGs. With the other types of Fex Mundi IGs, the Bible having been declared obsolete, having been understood by the universe to be obsolete, everything abgeleitet from the Bible, everything in Anlehnung to the Bible, everything where you worked your idiotic analogies, which never were analogies because you get the concept of analogy wrong, and you always did because you're fucking insane. With them other fuckers of Fex Mundi, it now is just that way, oh, okay, this Bible shouldn't even be heeded anymore. Period. But with the lurchies out there, the more you, and the more desperate and the more extreme you work this on your own brains, with the virtual ware apps, with especially the scenario app, plus yet further all new approaches that you might try to fuck around with in the forced verbalization approach, and so on and so forth. The worse you try to work this, the more your brains, even if they're insane, will result in the opposite of what you actually will try to work. Which means you have the old Bible, and to anybody else, it's just gone. But to you fuckers of Fex Mundi lurchy IGs, your forced verbalization, your scenario app content usage, continued such, does no longer echo, so to speak, in the zero-dimensional. And you result in a completely virtual only, and thus lied, anti-Bible. And no, for the idiots out there, that does not mean that now it became a book of Satan. No. That's not at all what I'm saying. It used to be a real book, a real set of madness gathered over a couple of thousand years, but the universe understood it to be just that. And at that moment, it's no biggie. But your continuing use of it has reduced it to just a virtual set of such in the first place, and not anything anymore that at all touches on truth in the universe. Not that the Bible ever did, but aspects about the Bible in a non-religious, non-theological sense had constantly to do with truth. All of that isn't the case anymore. You don't understand you're doing this because you're blithering idiots. Hence, here I am explaining it to you, best as I can. You create something in your fucking brains now which is purely virtual. Purely virtual. But it cannot help as everything in the universe works that way, trying to get the truth verification constantly from the universe. And the universe grasping now that the Bible has been declared obsolete for an infinite number of good reasons, the universe gives the feedback is lie, is lie, is lie, is lie. And what that means is that the Bible and all the shit associated with it, that now you work in your virtual, ware-infested, self-operated, because you idiots think that this is a gift of God and he helps us, she helps us, it helps us, whatever. I'm not quite sure how you have this down. With thinking the right thing. You have absolutely no fucking idea of what you are doing to your own brains. None whatsoever. You turn what used to be all your horrendous hijacking of a collection of madness in the first place, you turn that into something purely virtual that moreover is by the universe identified as something purely lied, as in now 100% of any truth, namely any. And the more you force verbalize, the more indirectly you work in your own fucking brains and know that there are some fuckers trying to shove through that, yes, that's what they're going for. They want to come out of it. They do not want to come out of it. They want to end all mankind. And in their useless brains, in your useless brains, you now have all sorts of shit going on, which tries to rework the crap called Bible into something purely fictional, absolutely identified as nothing but such, nothing but lies, and fictional meaning virtual, that's what I mean. It's not the fictional part. Forget about the fictional part. That's a word that they threw in for sabotaging reasons. Virtual. You cannot cling to the Bible in your brains. The universe understood it as obsolete. You can keep the scenario at right, happily, because you take it for a good thing. And you can put yourself through ever more religious shit scenarios. Just that they even lose, kind of thing. They actually even are understood by the universe to not have anything to do with religion even. No matter how far you stretch that term, no matter how stupid definitions of religion you try to force verbalize and shove through people's brains, it's got nothing to do with it. This whole Bible shit of yours, that now you work even with more desperation in your scenario apps, in your forced verbalization routines, is turning into something which I advise you is not a healthy thing at all. But this is a completely different thing from how it used to be previously. Previously, it was tons of madness, completely horrendously abused on top of it. But it's none of that anymore. You are turning this shit into something completely different, but something that is nothing but virtual. Nothing but virtual. And no, you do not find out of it that way. Even if you wanted to. And once more, as I said before, again a little louder, the people who do this don't want to get out of it. They don't. But I want those very people, and all the other people, to understand that what those very people currently do in their brains is something that has not happened before. Ever since 1873-74, or rather, go forward to 20s, 30s-ish of 1900s, such, when the first inhuman technology started coming around. Never before has any such unspeakable, sheer and utter inhuman, non-human process taken place like right now in the obscene and insane brains of the lurchy IGs of Fix Mundi, trying to even more, and with what they perceive probably as with a vengeance, all of the shit derived of the Bible. You cannot rebirth the Bible in very loose words. The universe has identified the Bible for what it always was. And the universe knows that. Everybody knows that. All the other IGs of Fix Mundi know that. But you fucking lurchies are currently doing something to your brains which even I, and I am the infinitely leading expert on all brain fuckery that you yourself do to yourself and that you do onto the people out there. Even I cannot perfectly fathom it, but I can tell that it's not going anywhere. I can tell you that. You are not going anywhere with this. And above all other things, nothing about what you do right now at all reverberates as true with the universe. Nothing at all. Which means that at a certain point, no matter how obscene your own brains are, no matter how little access to the zero-dimensional you might still be able to work, that is working. Always. Always on, always is working. And you might not get it so extremely and so frequently and so all the time and so and whatnot, namely the feedback from the universe, from the zero-dimensional, that it's all virtual shit and lies and crap. But every now and then you do. And that makes your little scenario, so right now you're working in your head into... We need a new word here. We need a new word, because this really... This goes beyond what... I'm out of cigarettes. This goes beyond what scenarios ought to be in the past, really. Not that this is a new app. It's not a new app. It is just the circumstantial situation of, you know, the universe having grasped what the Bible always really was, and me having thus declared it obsolete, and the universe having grasped it as declared obsolete. That changed the game for the scenario app if you work religious content in it. Yeah, that's a nice summary. The probably biggest difference pertains to the scenario app and any religious stuff you work in it. With the Bible obsoletized, obsolete is an active word other than declared obsolete. With the Bible now obsolete, let me put it that way, and all associated with it now obsolete, if you continue working religiously themed, religious at all, but anyhow connected to the Bible. See, I am not talking about the Bible strictly. It is everything about it. Fuckers who delude that they descend of Jesus, or Jesusrella as we now know, or of Moses, or whatnot. Or fuckers who thought they brought back Moses, or Jesus, or Jesusrella, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Cain, Abel, whatnot. It doesn't matter. You have arrived at the point where anything religiously flavored worked in the scenario app transcends, in a not religious way, what previously scenarios, including religiously themed such, used to be. Let's call them para-scenarios. And once more, not para as in paranormal, parapsychology, or any such. Para actually means something. It's a word that means something. It's a great word. It's a very technical term, prefix to other words. You are creating not scenarios in your scenario app. You're creating para-scenarios. And I know there's idiots out there who think, wonderful, that is what we went for. No, you have no idea what you went for, and you have no idea what you currently are doing to your own fucking brain and what you try to do to brains of unsuspecting people out there. This video is here to tell you about that. And of course, implied is, stop doing that. To your own brains, first and foremost, the lurching IGs of Fix Mundi. Because I cannot see how you'd be doing yourself a favor with that. You know, in all your lurching IG, Fix Mundi, worldview and whatnot, you're not getting anywhere with this. So stop that shit. Thank you.